Well, hello and welcome back, everybody, to episode 133 of the DanJohnUniversity.com podcast. It's good to be back with you. Every week I sit down at my computer and I talk into this camera and I do my best to answer each and every question that comes in. Remember, if you have a question, podcast at DanJohnUniversity.com. I'll do my best to answer each and every one. One of the things about this week is that there's going to be a couple of they're not repetitive questions at all, but I'm going to have the same basic answers. So at danjohnuniversity.com, we have a thing called the workout generator, and it is the best thing, I think, honestly, it's been what I've been working on since, in some ways 1971, but honestly, since 1998 online. I've been trying to come up with a way to interact instantly with people as they're going through a workout. What's great about the workout generator is that you can work out at one gym on Monday, another gym on Wednesday, another gym on Friday, and change enough options, still do the same basic workout, but do the workout with the equipment that you have or with how you're feeling because of whatever travel. So I'm a big fan of it because, it's not just, do 5 sets of 2 and the bench press, the back squat, and the deadlift, which, by the way, is great. But not everyone does those exercises, and many people need more than that. They need more pulling, they need more loaded carries, they certainly need a variation on hinges and squats. And what's nice about the workout generator is it does that in real time for you with algorithms and artificial intelligence and all that magnificent stuff. But instead of taking over the world, it's trying to help you out. So danjohnuniversity.com, sign up, get on the generator, and that's going to help the bulk of the people with the bulk of the questions they have, especially like this week. But our first question is about equipment, which is kind of fun. Patrick says, I have a Hungarian T-handle, so I called it a Hungarian core blaster, and I never really got credit for it. I'm not being a jerk, but when kettlebells first came out, I saw the Hungarian hammer throwers in the 68 Olympics using this weird little stackable weight thing that had a T on it, and then at the bottom had a ring, and they just slapped 10 kilo or 25 pound plates on it. So a person online made one for me, this is the way things were back when the internet first started. Someone would make something for it, and they ask your address, and they send it to you, and nobody thought that was strange. Now, of course, that would probably have concerns. So we called it the Hungarian core blaster. If you read some of Pavel's early stuff, there's a picture of me swinging and I'm wearing Juan Diego shirt and Juan Diego pants. And I think it's from like 2003 or 2004. When Tim Ferriss wrote, I think it was like his body book, there's a reference to it, to Dave Draper. But of course I work for Dave and Larry Draper. And it's just a funny little thing how that's why I have advanced degrees in history. I'm so funny about the historical record because once you post something that's not right in writing, that sticks, and very few people go underneath it to find out that there's a different story. So I stole it from a Strength and Health magazine from 1968 at or 7, I guess it was, from the Little Olympics in Mexico City, which was much better, by the way, than the actual Olympics. And a friend of mine sent me a thing. We started doing it, and many of us found that the Hungarian core blaster was better than the kettlebell in a lot of ways. Once I got kettlebells, I realized that it's a little bit safer not having that stack of weights go shishing, 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 shishing like a trombone the whole time you're lifting. All right. Patrick says, to get back to the question, I have a Hungarian T-handle that I made and primarily use it for swings. It seems to be a great tool for a few limited exercises, swings, duck walks. Now that's interesting, and deficit deadlifts. By the way, in my gym, the Hungarian core blaster is the deficit deadlift machine now. So, yeah, I do throw some equipment away, but I like to repurpose it as best I can. However, I don't know of any exercises to use with the T-handle for my upper body. Well, if you decide to press with it, you're going to lose all your teeth because the handle's going to be here and the load's going to be right there in your face. So bench presses with it, be sure you have a good dental plan. Overhead presses don't work. It's because the Hungarian core blaster is a very specific thing to quickly load up relatively heavy weights. We used to go 150 pounds, um, uh, 65 kilos. Okay. And it was an eye opener. Okay. Uh, I don't know any upper body exercises that you can do with the T handle. You probably could get away with something like upright rowing, but you're going to notice that the weights are going to come right up on your chest. Um, you might find if you do have a higher bench that you might be able to get some more pulling from the floor, but it's just not. It's not the piece of equipment for that. So Patrick, but if that's all you have, don't forget the push up. Don't forget the pull up. Find variations as best you can. I have some more push up questions coming on this podcast, but just kind of keep in mind that not every tool is perfect. I've got those big hip thrust machines in my gym. I've got 2 hip thrust machines, and I love them. Except you can only do one thing with them. I mean, I guess you could pick them up and carry them, but they're for the hip thrust machine. Every so often, people show me how to do stuff with the ab wheel besides the ab wheel rollout, and I'm like, that's great that you're doing all this stuff, but the ab wheel rollout is what the ab wheel is for. So sometimes a piece of equipment is just good for what it does. And Patrick, I think the Hungarian T handle or the Hungarian core blaster is for swings and deficit deadlifts and whatever a duck walk is. All right, thank you. I hope that helped. All right, bye-bye. We got a question from Rhett. Rhett, we've never had a question from Rhett before. This is very exciting. My 11-year-old son hates physical education because he has to do push-ups. Stop right there. Rhett, everybody hates physical education when they're at that age. Especially boys. It is the hardest time in a boy's, I think, if I recall correctly, what they taught us with their relationship to their body. It's a very bad time for boys. And it gets better. Well, I'm 65. I don't know when it gets better, but I'll let you know the year it does, okay? Because he has to do push-ups, but he struggles doing any. He wants to improve, but I'm not sure where to start. And then you say push-up position planks. Yeah, I like that, and that's a good part of the package. The upside for him is he will get, and by the way, it's good for him the rest of his life, is that it is going to teach the connection of the hands on the ground, squeezing the ground. I call it gripping and ripping, squishing the juice out of the armpits, squeezing your knees together, squeezing your heels together, holding on to a tight ad wall. That's great. Okay, would an incline be better? Both would be better. Okay, now listen. So some pups, but making your son do a bunch of pups is going to be tough. But if you could put them up, and by the way, when I was growing up, I think every person I knew, the couch was part of their training program, the Davenport, if you will, the sectional. Yes, incline are great. And I would even recommend chair push-ups. There's 2 variations. One is you're going to put the hands on the outside of a single chair and do push-ups like this. Now that's really going to emphasize the triceps a lot, and you'll feel it because his arms are going to be coming in this really crappy position like this. The upside of the elevated one chair push-up, holding on to the sides like this, or however he can get his hands on there. Folding chairs are the best. This is the one time they're the best. It's its incline, but there's also an issue with it, and that's where the hands on. And then the other one would be the 2-chair push-up, where he puts his hands and he drops his body, sort of like a dip. Have him do that once, and then wait once for maybe a set of whatever's appropriate, 5 or 10, and then wait 2, 3, or 4 days, and just make sure it doesn't hurt his sternum. Very often, dips and these wide chair push-ups, and let his body sink through, will bother young men's sternums. That's because I guess the growth plate hasn't filled in. That was a guess that a doctor friend of mine and I came up with. I had told him about this, and what I got was this from him. Yeah, because he was remembering his high school days when it hurt him too. And he goes, and then it just stops hurting after a certain age. And he thought maybe that's just a growth plate. And you're just, you're just stressing all that growth. I don't even know what I just said, but I think you do. Or would an incline be better? I started with what we used to call girl push-ups in less civilized times, but he's got it stuck in his head that those are, well, for girls. And for an 11-year-old boy, that makes matters worse. Those are the ones on the knees. Yeah, a couple of variations that might be fun down the line. When you're doing the push-up position plank, pick up one of his feet at a time, and that'll make him tilt, and he'll have to fight with that. I have people do, we call them Superman push-up position planks. That's where you have one hand on the ground, and the other hand is the bird dog position. Those are all fine. And remember, and do your best, Rhett. He's at the start of a lifelong adventure with his body. So anything you do that's positive, affirming, and just keep remembering, he's like weeks, minutes, months away from this all being behind you. But if you have a good toolkit to help him, it's going to help him on the journey. He'll trust you more, and maybe, here's the funny thing. I know what physical education classes can do to a kid's ego. But if the two of you get a good relationship out of this, I think long term, this might help him with a lot of other issues coming up in life, problems, whatever. Thanks, Rhett. Thanks for inspiring me as a parent. That's nice. Okay. Got a question from Hugh. Hugh, you're the one. Do you know of any exercises that improve my knee health, provide me with bulletproof knees? Oh, that's a tough one. And he's going to mention an exercise. A strength coach once recommended single leg deadlifts to prevent strength imbalances. They said that was a major cause of knee problems. But I was looking to start wrestling, but it looks tough on the knees. Yeah, wrestling is tough on the knees. That's why you wear knee pads. And trust me, man, wear knee pads. It was interesting when I first wrestled, I always needed them. When I came back the next year, I started noticing that I would pull them down a lot because they're getting in the way. And then I think later I stopped wearing them. They may have I know they required headgear, and they may have required knee pads, but I got the smallest pair I could find. Yeah, they were just in the way. There's two issues here. The first is you're worried about getting bulletproof knees. And frankly, the best way to save your knees is to make sure that your feet are healthy, your arches are healthy, your ankles are healthy. You appropriately turn and corner in sports. My friend Bike James refers to the knees down as like the wheels on a mountain bike, and that's you corner through life. You don't cut. You corner like a bicycle, which I thought was kind of a clever way to talk about it. I think of feet and hands as mini tramps, the shoulders and hips as the four knots, K-N-O-T, tight enough, loose enough. And then when he said that, I thought, now I have this great image of the human body. From here to here, from your neck to your knees is a chain link fence with the four knots, and then there's bike tires, and then there's a mini tramp. I don't know of any good way to bulletproof your knees. When I was young, they used to talk about doing leg extensions, and we later found out that they were actually not very good for you. I think doing goblet squats and getting the movements very helpful. And if you know how to appropriately hinge when you're building the hamstring and the glute a lot, the hamstrings insert underneath the knee in the calf area. And I always thought that healthy hamstrings led to healthy knees. And I could be completely wrong until you see it over and over again. Not a great answer, Hugh, but... and the other thing, the issues you're going to have with wrestling your knees is someone taking your knee, putting their shoulder into it, taking their leg and, twisting you around. I don't know if there's a drill to fix that. Of course, sliding on the knees is another issue when you're doing, when you're going in for, for the tack. But no, I don't. I don't know, outside of knee wraps, knee bands, knee pads. I don't know of anything that'll protect that. Okay, I'm sorry. I hope that helped that somewhat. Okay, thanks you. All right then, we got a question from Van. Great names today. Van says, I'm 46 years old, 6 foot, and 82K. From Americans, about 180 pounds. I've always been either skinny or lean my entire life, and by God, you're a lucky man for that. No matter what I eat. It seems the older I get and the more I eat like an adult, the harder it is for me to maintain weight. So there's all kinds of people right now listening to you, and they all hate you, Van. So, um, no, I can't tell you the story, but it's the same kind of thing. Okay, I'll just have to. So the idea of focusing on hypertrophy and mobility sounds great to me. Great to me, as I'm worried I'm going to land up one of those scrawny old guys. Yeah, a good friend of mine once said he was golfing. He looked around. He noticed something about the older golfers. You can be an old golfer, you can be a fat golfer, but you can't be a fat old golfer. And that's when he decided to go on Atkins, and he lost a ton of weight. And he is a real, he's no longer with us, but he became a missionary for the Atkins. And considering he lost all that weight, I think it gave him some quality years. He was older when he died. He was 85 when he died. So those of you who are anti-Atkins, it wasn't that. However, when I've tried general hypertrophy training in the past, that, for example, 3 sets of 12, it always seems to leave me pretty drained straight afterwards and the following day. This is not conducive to my hobbies, which are very important to me. I'm wondering whether my hobbies, rock climbing, which helps to be skinny, windsurfing, which I'm guessing helps to be skinny, mountain biking, and I know it helps to be skinny, would be better suited year-round, easy strength-inspired routine. So for your hobbies, the answer is yes, though my friend Bike James would give you some other ideas, including isometrics. My gut feeling is that I should forget about the hypertrophy for a few more years and instead focus on easy strength-inspired workouts that work around my hobbies. Something that makes me feel better each session than I started. That's what I feel. I feel that would be more repeatable. What would your advice to someone like me with my sort of hobbies? I'm so glad he included things like his age and weight. For one thing, 180 at 6'2" is probably a really good weight. I agree with you. I think your insights is fine. You have about another decade. It would be after 55, 56 when you really need to start doing hypertrophy and mobility almost as a religion. I mean, you got to take it serious. I mean, I'm 65, brother, and I'm telling you, lean body mass. It's just every time if I don't work my armacondas, they just seem to lose. They become mere pythons within days. But that's because I'm over 55. So think about it. Let's think about it this way, Van, if you're okay with this. For the next couple of years, for about 10 months of the year, I want you to do easy strength and do your sports and have a great time. Maybe 2 months of the year, and I would flip it around appropriate as to the weather conditions for your sports and stuff. Probably, don't be doing this in the middle of your sport, but pick about 4 weeks to do just something basic. 3 sets of 12, you don't like that. Do 3 sets of 8, 50% the volume. Boom, right there. There you go. 50% less volume. I know I'm right on that. Okay, yeah. 12 is 50% more volume. I know it. I think I'm right math-wise. 3 sets of 8, maybe a press, a pull. It can be a military press. That's what I always think everyone should do. A row machine pull, 3 sets of 8. Rack deadlifts, 3 sets of 8. Front squat, 3 sets of 8, which is brutal. And then suitcase carries. Boom, walk out the door, you're done. Maybe do mobility during the rest periods like I do, which I find phenomenal. But there you go, that's it. And maybe a couple of years from now, shift that 10 months easy strength, 2 months hypertrophy to 9-3, to 8-4. And then maybe when you get over 55, go during the heaviest part of your whatever season it is. It seems mostly summer sports. In the deep winter, do hypertrophy for maybe even up to 6 or 7 or 8 months, and then the rest of the time, just keep yourself target range of your easy strength, of your strength numbers, and then and enjoy the sports. Okay, gosh, I hope that helps. Thank you. Great question. Got a question from Mike. I have what could be considered more of a vanity. There's nothing wrong with that body comp question, which I've not been able to find an answer for yet. First, I'm 51 years old, 5'8", 174, 65 kilos, no major health issues, and I am training for health, enjoyment, and longevity. Currently, I'm using your hypertrophy and recovery program, and I'm enjoying it. So we have a whole bunch of them. There's the workout generator, and there's the post-deployment one. I'll just pretend I know what you're talking about, which one, but it's all going to be the thing. I understand that your main focus is preparing athletes to perform when the bell rings, but I would be curious if you had any advice when it comes to improving a weak-looking chest. Oh, you're 51. Good. Okay. My lower chest seems to contain no muscle at all. I am fine with the upper and mid chest development. While my number one goal is overall health, I want to have a solid, well-balanced, muscular-looking body to boot. Should I look to do a different type of program like the workout generator? Oh, pardon me, you're on the hypertrophy post-development. Okay. Or mass made simple to improve my chest symmetry and development. First off, there's a big issue, Mike, and it's called DNA. Because you've been training, there's a real good chance that your body's insertions and origins and everything else just might be a little bit different than somebody who lucks out in the genetic roulette. Who lucks out in the genetic roulette? Professional athletes, professional bodybuilders, Olympic athletes. They'll tell you it's all about training, but the truth is there's I always say genetics and geography work in there too. Can you build up specifically certain muscle groups? That's been this is one of those things where a lot of people say yes, and then they'll tell me what they did to do it. For example, for low chest development, there's those cable flies where you end up down here in the most muscular pose. And I actually had a friend in college who actually said he filled it in. Then I later found out what he was on drug-wise, and it was like, well, yeah, I mean, a lot of things are going to work if you're on enough drugs. And he was on a lot of drugs. A lot of drugs. He's now a health professional. Okay, so there's going to be two extreme answers here. One, you're doing great. You probably can't make any changes with it. You can try doing separating dips and decline bench press. Decline bench press and dips for your press exercise and see if that brings it up. Though you might just be stuck with it. Okay, that's answer number one. We're going to do one exercise, dips or declines, rotate them however you feel fit. And then the other choice is, of course, go online, read one of those T-Nation articles, 500 ways to terrorize your chest or, pulverize your pecs or something, and just try some of those and see if that works. When you talk to me about bodybuilding, it's always difficult because, I know how the sausage is made. Okay. I've seen it. Okay. And there's always so much more to the story than I did 5 sets of 5, and they forget to mention, some other issues. Okay. Try the decline bench. Maybe try a few other things over a period of a couple of months and just get a sense of what works. One small thing to keep in mind, it doesn't matter where you feel the soreness when you're doing specific body parts, because soreness isn't always a good indicator of what's actually happening behind the curtain of skin, okay? Good luck to you on this. It's a good question, and I'd like to know how you do. Got a question from Chris. My question is, which exercises should I have my wife, who is new to strength training, focus on during a 40-day easy strength program? Yeah, a vertical push, a vertical pull, a deadlift, ab wheel, suitcase carry, go for a walk. My wife is 41, very active. We walk every day and hike in the Wasatch Mountains almost every weekend. Chris, why don't you just come by the house and ask me? I live right, the Wasatch is right 2 discus throws that way from me, okay? Uh, she does some HIIT style classes with online training during the week. She got into it during COVID. She does either body weight or very light dumbbell work ranging from 5 to 15 pounds. I often join her for these quick HIIT workouts. They're usually straightforward and simple for 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. However, she has noticed that as she works through these programs, the strength requirements escalate faster than she can keep up. Primary example, the push-up. These online trainers, shake your finger like that, expect her to go from kneeling plank to full push-up in 4 weeks with no clear strength progression. Well, that's welcome to the world of trying to fit square pegs into round holes. That's why at Dan John University on the Workout Generator, we offer you so many options for pushes. And I've worked with people for years who couldn't do a push-up. And then I've worked with other people who are like, yeah, females. Oh yeah, I can do, how many do you want? I can do 1,000,000. And it's like, again, we're getting back to genetics and geography. You know, if she played on a team as a kid that every time, you know, you did something, coach said 10 push-ups, she'd probably be pretty good at push-ups. If she was built slightly different in certain ways, push-ups might be extremely easy for her, okay? My wife has realized this and is getting frustrated. That's why she agreed to join me in a 40-day easy strength program. I dropped hints along the way, but she never outright suggested it. I've gained a little wisdom in this life. Ha ha ha. Well, so it's not going to help you, but when I have women do 2 sets of 5 in the overhead press, and I don't care if it's dumbbell, barbell machine, I don't care. And then like either just straight arm hangs or, yeah, straight arm hangs are the best for most women at first. And then rack deadlifts, the ab wheel, and I said farmer walk, it could be swings, I mean, it doesn't matter. That over time, the fact that they're doing it 5 days a week seems to really help them accelerate their strength gains. I mean, we know from the research from the 1940s that women, you know, it's actually just basically concentric circles. Women can get 80% as strong as men in certain lifts, like the squat. And if we put straps on the deadlift, as you move out, it drops. And then we get to this here, women are only 55% as strong in the finish of the shot put, okay? So that's why when we work with young female shot putters, you got to spend so much time with lighter balls and throwing it down on the ground. The shot putter I'm working with right now, it's interesting to watch, and it's clear to me that she has got herself up to very good levels in her upper body strength because she has a radically different technique now. Not only is she throwing farther, but the way she finishes it. So when she does the presses and the hangs, the overhead press and the hang, we are going to help her long term with her strength gains, okay? Gosh, I hope that helps. And you sound like a good guy, Chris, and I live here just in Murray if I can ever be of service. Thank you. Got a question from Kevin. My wife and I just had our first child, a little Danny, I suppose. Fortunately, due to not having to carry a child, and that makes sense, Kevin, I've been able to continue training throughout. My wife, however, who by all means is a fairly novice lifter and is D-trained at this point, didn't manage to. Partly due to the pregnancy, a car crash that happened in the middle, everyone was okay, and having a tear during birth, she struggled to get back into things. Yeah. I don't have any, but you're going to have some patience here, okay? She does well when she has a plan. I can program to a reasonable level, do all my own programming, but that doesn't mix well with me coaching her. I was thinking of getting her into one of your templates, Workout Generator. Which option would you recommend for her? I would recommend the Workout Generator You guys decide what equipment you have available, how many days a week, and just make it. And then she'll still have a choice of the. So it's going to be push, pull, hinge, squat, loaded carry, but she's always going to have an option on what exercises to do, and we have a lot of variations of push, pull, and things like that. And encourage her over time to maybe play around, experiment with some of the different exercises. Not only will it make her stronger, but it'll give her a nice little buffet of how the human body moves. Fairly novice, we have a basement garage set up right now in between moving houses, and severely detrained at this point. I'd like to point her in the right direction and not be the one in charge of her. Kevin, hire me and blame me, okay? Get her on the workout generator, and the two of you can sit down and look around and look at the videos on how to do things. Only pick exercises that when she goes, yeah, I'd like to do that one. There's plenty of options, and go from there. And take your time, okay? Take your time. Babysit the baby, and let her go for a walk after she lifts, okay? Good luck to you, Kevin. You sound like a good dude. Okay, we got a question from Chris. During the first lockdown, I tried a kettlebell mass made simple program you suggested in one of your early podcasts. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of it either, unless I really hesitated. I injured my back doing the armor building complex portion with 2 times 20 bells every minute on the minute for 10 minutes. My own stupid fault. I was in a rush. Okay. Mass made simple. You basically lift weights twice a week. X out time for those. Give yourself. It's like when I used to go to a hot yoga class. The class was an hour and a half, but I gave myself about 45 minutes before to get there, get a space, mentally prepare myself, and then about an hour after, because I look like a axe murderer. X out the time. No time constraints, just as many as I could comfortably in that window. I'm sorry. I apologize. I skipped. My own stupid fault. I was in a rush. It was the one time I skipped out on the bird dogs before the armor building complex. And then he would say, that's why Dan put them there. Lesson learned. Yeah, it's true. I have not done the complex for 2 years now, but I miss it. What are your thoughts on the complex done once a week for 20 or 30 minutes? Yeah, I usually recommend 1 week you do it twice, and the next week you do it once, twice, once, twice, once, twice, once. And you're saying once, 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 and I think that's just fine. Any issues using a weight belt to start? No, but it is because I know you're hurt. But for those of you who aren't injured, listen to what's happening here. He got injured, now he has to wear a belt. What I'd like people to do is turn their body into the belt. And then on clean and jerks at weightlifting meet, you put that belt on and you feel like $1 million. Oh my God, I don't think I wore one at my last weightlifting meet. Wow, that's weird. I'm a 39-year-old police officer with 2 young children. I do hypertrophy training roughly 4 days a week and BJJ once a week. Well, as a police officer, I think that might be something you don't want to switch, but what do I know? I'm 5'8" and around 100K, 220. I've done hypertrophy style training consistently for well over a decade, and I've built a decent amount of muscle. Don't know my body fat percentage. Definitely no longer six-pack, but appear more muscular than fat in regular clothing. Look like Tarzan, play like Jane by your strength standards. Yeah, you got to get away from the hypertrophy training. There's nothing wrong with it, and maybe you look great in your uniform, but when you gotta deal with issues, the BJJ training and being strong as hell is going to help you a lot more than looking good. Yeah. However, I do well at BJJ, and you love kimchi. Please let your thoughts, as I feel like the ABC will have a massive carryover to my training and lifestyle. Yeah, I got to tell you, I never thought of it, but the armor building complex. So 2 kettlebell cleans, 1 press, 3 front squats, put the weight down, repeat. Might be a really good thing for police officers. I mean, really good. Really good. Yeah, I like the idea. In my perfect world, I would have you add an additional day of BJJ training a week if you can, and cut down to 3 days a week in the weight room. And in those 3 days, 2 of the days, 1 week, 2 of the days armor building, 1 week, 1 day. Okay, great question, and I hope that served you well. Well, there you go. That was fast. All the questions are answered. All the questions are answered. All the answers are questions, and we move ahead. Remember, if you have questions, send them to me at podcast@danjohnuniversity.com. I enjoyed today's questions. As I warn you, there'd be a lot of workout generator questions. And honestly, I go online, I see what other people are doing. The flexibility of the workout generator is far better than a PDF program that might as well be written in stone. But that's what I think. And I was about to say I could be wrong, but then I realized I'm right. Well, listen, Dan John University, sign up, get on the workout generator, and that'll answer a lot of your questions. I love answering them. And as always, until next time, let's all keep on lifting and learning.